Greetings, salutations, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well. So, today we're going to go over all things printing. So, for your next assignment, you have two assignments left. You have a printing, and then you also have a poster. We'll get to the poster later, but for the printing assignment, I'm going to ask you to print out your portfolio and get it bound and print one copy for yourself and one copy for me. And today I am going to give you some tips and tricks to handle all of that so that it should not be a painful process. Most of your portfolios aren't extremely long in page number, which is good because then you're not going to be cutting a lot or printing a lot if you're going to end up doing it on your own versus having a print shop. But we'll talk about that. Okay, so I've made a random little portfolio and I call it Kevin's Rad Portfolio. So this is something like what you've already created. Of course, your work is in here and populated nicely. So what I have here is a cover page. The size of the portfolio is 8 by 10, I believe. Let's double check. Yes, 8 by 10. Let's see. We have, one project. This is how my projects start out, basically. I don't have any table of contents or resume in here, but bear with me. Project 1 has a couple spreads. Same with project 2. And then we end with project 3. So let's just use this as an example to help you sort of get into all things printing. So the first thing I want to do is actually package this. So let's just assume I've been working on it for a while and I need to package it. I just want to run through the packaging again because there has been some questions about it. So I'm just going to go to File, Package. Now here, basically what I'm looking for in this first window is just right here, links and images, 0 missing. I mean, that's key right there. If there was an image, like one of these blue boxes was an image and that image was missing, that tells me that right there. And then I got to go through my project and sort of figure out what the heck isn't linking correctly. As you remember, images are linked into the file. It's not like a PowerPoint where they're sort of in the file and all I need to do is carry around the PowerPoint file with me. It's not how InDesign works, but it's way more powerful than PowerPoint is or ever could be. That's an editorial on the end there. Okay, so that looks good. So I'm going to hit Package. It's asking me to save first, so I'll do that. Okay, so now it's asking me, where am I going to save that packaged folder? I'll put it right on the desktop and I'll call it Kevin's Rad Portfolio version 1 folder. That's fine. I'll hit Package. Okay, so let me just close this now and let's go to that folder. Here it is right here. I'm going to open that up. There we go. And what we have here is document fonts folder. So any font that is in the document is in here. And then we have a InDesign file and I believe an InDesign markup file. You can basically ignore this lower sized one. We don't use those. I've actually never used them in my professional experience. Not exactly even sure what they're for. I use the InDesign file, just stick to the InDesign file. And then it also gives you a PDF printout of exactly wherever your portfolio is currently at. So here it is right here. Okay, let me get out of that. There we go. Actually, I should have left that open. That's okay. So this is my linked file. Now, the only thing missing in here would be a folder called links with all of your images. I don't have any in here because I didn't have any images actually in my portfolio. I just had those placeholders for this example. Okay, let me open up that InDesign folder. Cross that off the list. Okay, so here we are in the most up-to-date version of the portfolio, and let's say I'm sort of getting ready to print. So a couple things that you can do that a couple students have asked me about is page numbers. So a lot of you maybe put the page numbers in manually, or maybe you just haven't put page numbers in and you don't even want to put page numbers in. That's totally reasonable. If you do have a table of contents that calls out page numbers, it would be good to do that. Table of contents are okay just to show the general order of things too, so they don't always have to have page numbers. So don't feel like you need to put these in, but I want to show you how to do them. So one thing I want to point out here are the pages. So I'm going to go up to my pages tool, I guess, on the far right side. And that, of course, shows all the pages in my portfolio, including the cover. And if you notice on those pages, in the upper corner of it, either the upper right or the upper left, depending on what page we're looking at, there's an A. Now, the A means that the A master right up here, it is applied to those pages. So what a master is that it's basically whatever I put on the master will be on every page. Okay, so maybe it's guides. Those don't print, obviously, but maybe you want to set up some sort of framework on the master that you can see on every page. Or maybe there's something like page numbers that occur in every page that you'd like to put on. So the master can actually handle all this. You don't have to go to each page and figure out what page it is and put a page number and do that. So let me just show you how masters work, and then I'll show you how to do the page numbers. So I'm going to go up to this. As you know, all my pages are here, and I can double click on any page in here to sort of navigate to it. I'm going to do the same thing with A master. I'm going to double click, and I'm up in A master. And if you look up here in the pages, the blue one's highlighted, so that's the one I'm currently on. I can also pick the right one, and then that's the one I'm currently on. Okay, I'm going to hit W to get out of that preview mode so you can see my margins. All right, so let's add, I'm on the right page right now. Let's add some guides over here so you can see how they sort of populate in my actual working pages. So if you don't remember how guides work, I have my rulers turned on. And if your rulers aren't on, you can go to View, Rulers. Okay, right now it says hide rulers. This would probably say show rulers, I'm guessing, if they're not on. Well, there's only one way to find out. View, show rulers. Good guess. All right. So if you click on a ruler and hold with your left mouse button, you can bring a guide all the way over. The guide can just be on your page, or it can be across the whole artboard, depending on where your mouse is. If it's in the page, it'll stay within the page. If it's outside the page, it'll go over the whole artboard. I kind of like doing this one. All right, I want to put this right in the middle. So I'm just going to drop it wherever, okay? So this is, let's see. I have this selected. I know that my pages are 10 across. So I want to be at 15 for this guide. So I'm going to go ahead, hit properties, and then now with my guide selected, I'm going to click properties, and then I'm going to change this to 15. So that's right in the middle. And I'm going to do one on this side. I think you can just, you don't really need to click the page you want to work on up here. You should be able to just put it on where you want it. So let's try it. I'm going to put this over here, select it, properties, and put that at 5. I could have maybe clicked right onto the 5, but that can always be a challenge. Okay, so I put 2 guides in there. All right, so I'm going to go to my pages. And let's go to pages 2 and 3. And now you can see that my guides are there. I can't even select them. See that? Can't even select them. So they're sort of burned onto each page. I can hit W to sort of see what it looks like without them. And there they are. So anything I put on the master will be on every page. So let me show you something more obnoxious. Let's do a polygon. It's really imperative that this triangle appears on every page. and that it's a hot pink in color. That looks good. Feel much better about that. Already you can see on my pages what's happening, right? That triangle is now on everything, for better or for worse. Okay, not useful. But you get the idea of masters, very useful. Okay, so one of the things we can add are page numbers. Okay, so page numbers occur on every page, so it makes sense that they're on the master, but the weird thing about them is that they are different on every page, right? Because numbers go up or whatever. So we need to insert a special character. That's how page numbers work. So here's how you want to add one. I'm going to go ahead and make a text box. It's waiting for me to write something in that text box. What I'm going to do is go up to Object. Type, Insert Special Character, Markers, Current Page Number. I'm going to leave that open for a second. Type, Insert Special Character, Markers, Current Page Number. Okay, and I'm going to just click that, and a little A appears in here. Okay, that little A on our master up here represents the page number. You would think it would be a number. It's not. It's a letter A. It doesn't matter what it says in here. The page number will be here. So let me just position this where I want my page numbers. Now I want my page number to be in the bottom right over here and the bottom left over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the special character, go to Properties. I can change the font of it. I'm going to do something a little more drastic, and I'm going to right align it on this side. Okay, and I'm going to shrink my text box. I'm going to do Control-Alt-C, sort of shrink it to size. I'm going to bring that down and position it right there. Okay. Now I'm going to copy and paste that. And I'm going to highlight it in there. I'm going to left align it. I'm going to do my Control-Alt-C. And I'm going to position this one right down over there. Okay, there they are on my left-hand side and my right-hand side. Let's check the pages and see what's going on. Okay, here's Kevin's Rad Portfolio, the cover. Okay, typically you don't see a page number on the cover, but that's okay. I'll show you how to get rid of that. Okay, there, that worked well. Now, down in these other areas, like this one, it doesn't work so well. Works great here. Okay, and works great here. Doesn't work so good on the right-hand side. Great there. Great there. Great there. These doesn't really work. And these, it both work. So this is a good thing to do, I think, at the end of the portfolio design. The images are where they're at, and you don't want to sort of change any pages around. You just want to leave things where they're at. I like to add the page numbers right before I print because, as you'll see here, I'm going to start undoing only certain pages so we can get rid of page numbers on pages we just don't want them. Like, for example, this page 5. I don't want to see a number over here for 2 reasons. Maybe it'll be right on the edge of my image and look weird. They can see page 4 here. You can naturally assume that you know what the next page is if you know how to count. So we really don't need it. So how do we get rid of page numbers on pages we don't want? Okay, so let's start with the first page. I'm going to go ahead and right-click on the page on the Pages tab, and I want to go to Override All Page Master Page Items. So for this page alone, I'm going to override it, and now I can select it and delete it. Okay, so I still, in this page here, I can't touch this. It's on the master, right? I want it over here, but I don't want it over here. So I'm going to select page, what am I on? Page 3. I'm going to say override all master page items. I'm going to make a selection, deselect my image, I have my page number selected, and just delete it. So I'll do the same with this one, override. I'll select it, deselect the image. I'll do it with this one. Yep. So let's see. Delete. I'll leave pages 8 and 9 because those are in good places. They don't cover up an image. They don't do anything I don't want it to do. 10 and 11, I'm going to see if I can select them both. Override all page items. I should be able to select that one over there. Oop, not the image. And this one over here. And these two look great, so I'm good on those. So that is how you do page numbers. Very nice. Again, something you like to do right before you print, I feel. The other thing I want you to do is do a spell check. Some of you asked about this, so Control I is the spell check. I'm just going to type it right now. Control I. It's going to start going my weird Latin text filler here, and it's not going to be able to understand much of anything. And see, it's like, what the hell? And it's going to take me through each of these. But I don't want to do all that. So you can just decide and look through this. It's almost just like spell check in Word. Should be fairly straightforward. I would say that's mandatory to do before you print. Just double check it. You stare at these things for so long, you'll stare at a misspelled word for so long and not even know it. Okay, so that is sort of packaging, page numbers, spell check. And now let's just talk about printing. So in my view, you have two routes to print. And this is kind of how I would do it. You could print all of your pages at school, and then you could take your printed pages to a print shop and have them bind it. That would keep costs very low. You've already paid for the paper for your tuition, so that's why I'm suggesting you print at school. If you don't want to print at school, you're more than welcome to take and print it all at a print shop. So I have a list of some I found that I think are useful. I would generally stay away from anything like Kinko's. They tend to be very expensive, and they're also not very helpful. And when I was in grad school, they're all also a bunch of like jerks. I don't really get that policy, but that seems to be one of their techniques. So I would print at school, keep costs low, and let's just sort of walk through that. So you definitely want to print on both sides of the page, because you have to remember you're turning the page on all of these. So if you think about it, page 1 has to have page 2 on the back. Page 3 has to have page 4 on the back. So you want to print to both sides for sure. That's something you definitely got to do to make this read correctly. Otherwise, you're going to be like gluing pages together or something, and that's no fun. So, and also I would say an ink printer is generally better than a toner printer. I believe one of our printers, if I'm not mistaken, is ink, the 11 by 17 printer. That would be a great one to print to. Not the black and white printer. Black and white printer, the sort of the big, like kind of like hog in there. I don't know. I call it the hog. It kind of just shoots out black and white papers and documents and things like that. More made for documents with words on them, black and white, not color. If you don't know the difference between ink and toner, I'll tell you right now. Ink is like liquid, right, applied to your print paper, whereas toner, it puts an electrical charge on the page, and then it puts this magical pixie dust on it that sticks to the electrical charge, something like that. But generally, the images that get printed on toner, I mean, we have to all admit this is magic, what they do. I mean, it's amazing. You can even see an image to begin with. So the wizards that created this, I'm totally on board with them. But it doesn't always produce the highest quality image, and it's also like shiny and kind of looks weird. Ink is your best friend in this case. In fact, if you have a printer at home like I do, I have an HP $100 printer at home. I've always printed my portfolios right at home. It just, I can get it to look really good and do nice high quality. Something to think about. Okay, so we're setting up to print this. Now, I would print your document right from InDesign versus printing to PDF first. I'm going to print to PDF on here from InDesign, but I'm going to do that, and we'll just pretend that instead of printing to PDF, we're printing to the printer. But I want to be able to show you how to set up some things. So as I told you before, this is a 8x10 document. So this is going to fit nicely on an 8.5 by 11. Now that's sort of by design, because then I don't have to go to any bigger sheets like an 11 by 17 and really cut most of it down or something like that. So if I'm going to print this, here's how best to do it. Okay, I'm going to go up to File, Print. I want to show you some settings in here. Now this is assuming that you've already done your spell check and you've double check this thing 1,000 times before you kind of go into print. Okay, so for printer here, you would choose the appropriate printer, whatever one at school is the, I believe it's one of these two, 1677, maybe this one. Definitely not the 9040. I believe it's this one then, the IPF 825. That might have changed since COVID, but anyway, this is my printer, the HP PhotoSmart 5510. Great product. Okay, so Adobe PDF, assume this is your printer. Under the General tab, I am not changing anything. I'm going to be printing pages just like this. And let's see, range all pages. Yep. Current, I'm just checking here. Sometimes you might want to print even pages or odd pages only. We'll just do pages. All right, go to setup, printing it on an 11 by 17. For our scale, we want it to be 100%. I don't want to scale down my print whatsoever. And I want the page position to be centered. That's on purpose, and I'll show you why. The default might be something like upper left or something like that. Put it on centered and double check that scale to fit is not checked. Okay, you just want the scale to be 100 and 100. Okay. Orientation, and landscape orientation, that looks correct. Let's see it. See, that doesn't look right, right? There's a red flag there. So let's keep that in landscape orientation. Now go to marks and bleeds. Now this is key, especially if you're printing at school and you're going to be cutting it down yourself. Turn on crop marks right there. You can see them appear on this little preview. Crop marks are going to be your best friend, and after I hit print, you'll see why. Okay, so output, this all looks good. Graphics, all looks good. I'm just curious if there's any other settings that might give you a better product. Transparency, flattener, I'll say high resolution. That seems reasonable. Advanced summary. Okay, I'm just going to hit print. Now it's printing to me my Adobe PDF. It's asking me to save it. I'll put it in here and I'll save it right over this PDF. Okay, here we go. So now here's the print. Something to keep in mind, when you do exporting a PDF, it's going to export your file at the size it is. So if it's an 8x10 portfolio, you're only going to see an 8x10 document. I printed this. It's different than exporting. I printed this and I printed it on an 8.5 by 11. So I chose the background that my portfolio is living on. And I did that so I could print these nice crop marks. And I can line up a metal ruler right to that, and I can slice it in the horizontal direction and the vertical direction. So I can cut these pages all down to an 8 by 10. Okay. And then they'll line up just perfectly as long as you take your time. And when you cut these down, just put the ruler on there and use an X-Acto blade. Take a deep breath before you do it and just take your time. All your portfolios, you really don't have that many pages, and you can probably do 2 at a time. Actually, it'll go pretty quick. Okay, so I'm going to just scroll down to the next page. So here is page 2. I got my crop marks on there. Page 3, and so on. So I could print these, and so basically I could print, what am I trying to say? I could print these, and I could have all these as separate pages. But if you print double-sided, which you'll have to, so it opens like a book, when you cut one page, you're actually cutting 2 pages because you're cutting the front page, the front side of it, and the back side of it. So this might take 1 or 2 times to print to sort of get the feel of it. My suggestion would be when you're in your print command in InDesign, let me just do that again. Maybe for the first, let's just do a range of pages 1 to 4. Okay, so just print like the first 4 pages so you can get the front side and back side perfect. And when you've successfully printed on both sides, then you're good to go and you can print the whole thing. I just would hate for you to waste paper when you're just sort of figuring it out. So give that a whirl. Let me see. I'm not getting any print front side and back side on this because my printer doesn't even have that capability. So that's why we're not seeing it. And plus it's a PDF anyway. Let's just try something. I'm going to switch to one of these 1677. Let's see if it'll even acknowledge it. Okay. Print 8.5 by 11. General. Range 1 to 4. Print. No. All right, let's click setup. Case MD 1677. Number of copies. All right, let's try preferences. God. All right, page setup. This is going to be where it's going to... Ooh, this is the big one. This is not the one we want. Scary. Okay, let's try the others. One in 1677. Let me get there. 9040. I know it's not the one I want, but at least we can find the correct settings for the print on both sides. So I'm going to go setup. Oh, wait, did it change? The computer's thinking really hard because it's working through my VPN to connect to the other printer. Might not like it. I seem to have froze up. I'm going to pause, and then I'll continue in a moment when it's done freezing up. Okay, believe it or not, I had to shut down InDesign because as soon as I clicked on that printer, it just got angry with me. So the big thing I want to just take away here is when you go to print, you choose your printer, you're probably going to have to go here into setup, and that's where you're going to set print on both sides of the page. Because right now, this Adobe PDF here, we're just printing it straight out. So you could print to PDF first, but then you'll have to go into the your Adobe PDF that you just printed, and you'll have to sort of figure that out with the printer you're printing on to print on both sides. So that's going to be the bigger challenge. That's why I'm saying just print the first 4 pages or so first before you print the whole thing and waste paper. Now, one more distinction I just want to stress, and I'm not trying to insult anyone's intelligence, is when you export, it exports exactly at the sheet size that you're using. So if it's an 8 by 10 in this case, I get an 8 by 10 Adobe PDF. When you print, you're printing onto a page, just like how you normally print in person at school. You're printing onto an 8.5 by 11 or an 11 by 17 or the plotter. So you're printing your sheet size, whatever it is, onto one of those sheets. Okay, so now you can really see the importance of crop marks. Say, for example, I printed my cover page but had no crop marks on. You would have no idea where to place the ruler to cut this down to an 8 by 10. I'll take that back. You could have an idea, but you'd have to measure it. But with crop marks, you're ensuring that where you cut it, all the pages will be the same. So then you can bring a nice, neat little stack over to a print shop, or perhaps there's a printing services in the school. You can bring it there. Everything will be on a nice stack, and they can just sort of bind it for you. Okay, so that's printing. Now let me talk print shops. And well, before I talk print shops and bind types, I just want to say that as you print your portfolio, some of these images that you print, in this case, just a blue image. Let me go back to the InDesign. It might print super dark. Like the image is dark to begin with, it looks fine on the screen, but as soon as you print it with the ink and everything just sort of gets lost. That will happen. So you might want to do a test print, you definitely want to do a test print, see how it all looks. And then in some cases, you might want to go and lighten up a couple images and just tweak them in Photoshop so that they're lighter. If you want to know how to do that, I'd be happy to run through it with you if any of you run into that situation. Okay, so that is that. All right, so now I'm just going to show you. I just did a quick Google search of print shops in Madison. In the Madison area, let's see, Print with Me, printer at EVP. I mean, that looks good. I would try to go for this kind of ma and pa shops, to be honest, because those usually they just do a better job and they have better customer service. Alpha Graphics seems like a winner to me. I would definitely try them first. Bob's Copy Shop. I've definitely printed things there. That could be a good one to try out. There's this one Student Print that's located on the UW campus. There might be something good there. Something like a FedEx office, I generally kind of stay away from. I definitely run into things there. Run into high prices, typically. Print with Me, Print, Kiosk and Cargo, Coffee East. That might be a good one. So you might have your own in mind already, but I would just, if you want one right off the bat, just try Alpha Graphics. Start with them. And I looked on their website here. Oop, there we go. And they have all kinds of different binding options listed here, which is really nice. So you could bring your stack of prints in, and you could sort of walk through the options with them so you can get a good look at them. It's also good for them to see like how thick your little stack is and sort of what kind of paper it is, so they can be like, hey, do something like this. This side zone is kind of interesting. That'd be kind of a cool bind. More often than not, something like a regular spiral, a small spiral, not a big one, like a 1/4 inch spiral, looks really nice. It's small. It's kind of off to the side, kind of hidden by your pages. That looks really good. Corner stapling, not so good. Comb binding, kind of ugly to the eye and to the hand, to be honest with you. So consider spiral coil binding. Perfect binding would be really nice, or saddle stitching is nice. Some of these you might have to run through with them because in some cases it might be better for them to print your document to achieve some of these binding types. But if you just want to go in and get it bound, you can't go wrong with like screw and post. That's a really nice technique. You would just have basically 3 dots at the bind. It actually looks pretty good. Or a simple spiral. That's kind of what I would consider. And maybe they can convince you of some of these other ones. But it's nice that they have all the bindings listed here. So this tells me they kind of know what they're doing. So I would consider Alpha Graphics. Yes, let's see. Printing dark printers, CrowdMarks. Okay, that's everything on my list. So I'm gonna assign this assignment, and please, we'll have this due at the end of the semester, but we do have one more assignment in between. So this won't be due till May 15th. But in addition to your final portfolio, you will have to do that poster, the print of your final portfolio. We'll have a gallery poster that we'll have to do. But that will be a lot easier compared to this. So this is really the main event, is this printed portfolio. Okay. This is too long already, but I hope this is helpful. And hit me up with questions. I'd love to help out.